Okay, so a review for the 2nd of June at Rosehill. Rail 7 metres, and I was sort of predicted that it was going to be an inside track and hard to run on. Considering that sort of most of the races were run at pretty leisurely paces, it looks like the track was pretty fair. It did look like up the inside sort of section was pretty good. I don't know, they sort of seemed to get off the track there for a while, but quite a few winners did come through the middle and off the fence. Nearly every winner's come off the fence. Erica stayed, hard fence, Toucan Shoe staying race didn't count much else, so all come through the middle. Pindan Pearl outside the leader, Awoke down the middle, so pretty fair track by the look of it, and not too many excuses, apart from probably a couple in the earlier races that sort of came wide for no reason. So get into it, and probably the highlight race of the day for the future was the first race with Chris Waller producing 4 promising horses. The 2 that were probably a little bit disappointing were Octavian Augustus, who did work a little bit early, sat outside the lead, and High Mist coming off that sort of dubious debut that looked good to the eye, but probably was a little bit flattered and did require backing up, so not too big a surprise to see it fail. Probably will be a nice type in the future, but has to prove that yet. So Cogliere missed the start terribly again, which was no good for it. Sweet Chestnut eased out, High Mist eased back, Octavian Augustus goes forward, Hoxplay's got the natural speed to be right there, Awoke lobs right in the perfect trailing position. Much more tractable today, Awoke. Actually 3 wide, but they aren't going too hard. Not much happens in the run. Probably fast forward a bit to the turn. So Octavian Augustus tries to take the lead, eventually drops off. Fox Place had the perfect run. Awoke's done a little bit of work in the run, being wide for most of it, and tags him. And the 2 at the back run on for the placings in Cogliere and Sweet Chestnut, who had that unexplainable sort of run, beaten in a much softer grade than this last start terribly. But these 2 leaders, obviously Fox Place shown us that it's pretty good before, but is definitely well above average, and Awoke looks well above average. I'd say they're 2 clearly the most promising types in the race, which is a little bit obvious here. I would be forgiving of Octavian Augustus, and I'm not sure what to do with Sweet Chestnut, but just know there's a race in her. To get within sort of 4 of those horses, but drop out in a fillies and mares maiden the other day, just sort of a bit unexplainable. Cogliere's a really honest type, and probably, I don't know if he goes to Grafton or somewhere like that, he can be competitive there straight away. But nice little race going forward. Definitely stake sort of class horses, the first 2. Not sure where Octavian Augustus and High Mist will end up, and these guys are honest horses that are definitely Saturday grade minimum. Race 2 for the 1900 metres middle distance horses, and a couple of strange rides here. Kentucky Dome was a huge blower prior to the start of the race, which was kind of weird considering it looked like getting its own way in front and was ready to do something today. Bit of money for the eventual winner, Pindan Pearl, who got out to backable odds after opening short. Everything sort of goes to plan early here, apart from the query runner in the race in My Fair Lady, who just did not want to be here. He's not a 1900 metre horse, never should have been in this race, and kind of messed up everyone's pre-post plans here with this early move. Ruth had no option if she was in sort of a dangerous frame of mind, and I'm a bit worried here by this ride from second horse, why he doesn't come straight around the heels of the leader when he has the chance. He's got to know that this horse is not going to run the trip. It's a big query. Now it's over raced, obviously done something wrong, now come around. He had the chance to get off and stays in behind. Good effort from Ty, I assume, on Pindan Pearl to keep that horse in the pocket as soon as he possibly could. He's taken all the advantage away from Kobe, who's now held up, and it's not that sort of horse. He's a free running Go Waterhouse typical horse. Kobe then comes out and flattens Adkins on Princess Aria when she was making a run. She loses all momentum and puts her out of the race, and the rest had their chance in pretty limited types. So Pindan Pearl looks to have won this on class alone. The unlucky runners, Princess Aria probably, she just lost her momentum at a crucial stage, and she's not one that likes to do that and then pick up again. She's pretty temperamental. And Kentucky Dane really just given none, basically. My Fair Lady's actually run well considering what happened to her in the run, but not sure where her future lies. Pia Mimi, I don't know why they continually put her out and trip. I really think she's a short courser, and the rest just going average. Song of Laughter's actually run well, ridden quite out to these trips, is doing a good job. I wonder if back to a mile, ridden cold, or he could be in seriously good form at the moment, but hard to knock when he stepped up to Saturday grade and running well. Race 3 for the speedsters, 1100 metres. They run along at sort of an even tempo here, and it does look a decent enough race. So as Sasso's come back in good enough form, there's not a lot to be learned. They settle in sort of the order that you'd expect. Well, Sasso gets the run of the race. There were conflicting reports on its appearance in the yard. Some saying it was beautifully presented and ready to go. Others saying it had a terrible winter coat and looked pregnant. So interesting, but obviously it was definitely fit enough to win, and has run close to one of his better efforts in his career. So he's come back well after going out well off a good win at Brisbane before the spell. They all basically have their chance. Pretty ordinary ride on Got the Goss, but he doesn't look like he's going anywhere near as well as he can. Tamil having a bumping duel with him down the straight. Both those horses probably need it either further and back in grade to measure up. But El Sasso's quite dominant over a bunch that don't really want to hit the line. So as soon as he was ready, fitness wise, he was probably going to be the horse to beat and put them away comfortably. Glenbourne Dame's a really fickle sort of horse that does need everything to go its own way up on the speed. It's not exactly a tough conveyance. Maybe back to 1,000 metres suits it, same as Felines. She just loves the 1,000. And Herrera's showing some glimpses of form, and showing also that part of the track was fine, that inside part of the track on its performance there. But El Sasso's suited to these sort of races around this time of the year. Strange tactics here. Obviously well publicised that they decided not to lead on Foreign Prince, and I can't see why in the world. There was no noted leader. I could imagine if there was a noted leader, but having a look at the way this horse has to be restrained to not lead is just insanity. Nearly borderline dangerous considering all the tactics that no one wanted to lead, and horses going so slow that something was always going to give. Eventually Janub strides around to take the front at a slow tempo. Avdallah a really good try on a one-paced back marker that was just out of business already to whip around and take the front, and more importantly continue on with it to give himself any chance. If he had a dropped anchor here, he was 1,000,000 to 1 chance. So he's given this horse as good a ride as possible, and unfortunately she's just not up to this level. Toucan Chew had the good lead up form, had the good ride in the race. His only little query was 2400, and I don't even know if he's run that out completely strongly. Janoob sort of nearly takes ground off him late. Foreign Prince has had a tougher run and battles away, so they're not genuine stayers for mine, these horses. Toucan Chew, I can't knock it. It's in really good form and obviously suited at this level this time of year, but it's not a true black type race for mine over this sort of trip, with big queries on, basically distance queries on Loophole, Foreign Prince, even the winner. I'd sort of, assessing that form going down the line, I'd assess that more like a 2,000 metre race, something like that. I wouldn't count this as a real 2,400 metre race apart from a fitness angle. But Toucan Chew can continue on winning this time of year, that's for sure, and Janoob will obviously race honestly. I thought if Foreign Prince was given a better ride, it probably had a chance the way it's run. They've just butchered it tactics-wise for mine, and the two at the back here, battled along well and not really suited. Jaguar may be struggling for form, and Loophole definitely wants it back in distance. Race 5 for the highway race, and just a great ride here on the winner. Definitely was the difference. They've gone along at a steady enough tempo, nearly basically an even tempo. And see Eric is back on the fence here. The eventual second horse, Rosa Ruby, given a great ride by Guymer. No excuses there, it's a really one pace type, so Blake Shin could definitely have tried to track wide and follow these horses through, but had eyes only for the fence. His horse was up sharply in distance, not proven, and didn't want to do too much work on it obviously, and even though it looks like it was held up, that was probably what won at the race. It's only got a shortish dash and not, looking for this distance, I wouldn't imagine. Whereas these horses are all sort of one pace types that need winding up, and we're just going to continue batting away while he's smothered up here. He was only ever going to need clear running to be hard to hold out. They got out a jail call from the trainers, not exactly from the race callers, not exactly what I agree with. I think he's just handled the horse absolutely perfectly and got it home. Second horse, Rosa Ruby, racing really well, and just beaten by a better ride on the day, but there was nothing wrong with Guymer's ride. He rode the horse how it needed to be ridden, and Shin was just too good on probably a better horse, but probably not a better horse over that trip. Race 6, and this is put this back. Race 6, a very slow tempo set up front here by Classic Uniform. Looks home everywhere but the line. None of the horses sort of around it were going to beat it, and then they've come really late, the back markers, which is a good effort to come over the top of what was clearly the fastest last 600 of the day compared to what we were expecting. So good effort by the winner and the second horse to run on. Classic Uniform, he's just honest but lacks that turn of foot to really put races away, and that was really evident today. He's fights as soon as they come to him, but unfortunately the ones out wide just came a bit quick and he may not have even seen them. So nothing much happens in the run. Absolutely nothing happens in the run. Quite amazing. This is the winner here in Dubai in Style. Classic Uniform fights everything off around him, and looks to be holding them before these two who do overcome a tempo and probably a little bit of track bias, if there is any, to beat them. So Saborik is obviously a very talented horse that as he's on the up and he's improving. Dubai and Style was hard fit, and he really does get him strongly late, even though they've sort of bumped early. So plenty of merit in the win. Dubai and Style, that was probably his race. Not sure how they fight, but like probably see Classic Uniform up in distance off this. Maybe 1900 at Canterbury looks his go. And Vanderkamp did present a little bit soft, a little bit of improvement. He's run well. Lanciato obviously sprinted nicely, but had a tough task. Magic As, they're all going well enough to win races, these horses. Yeah, for mine, everything back to Rosetta's Way, even Surf and Safari if it's dropped in trip. So Willie's probably the one horse that is a little bit one-dimensional for mine, but the rest are all going well enough to win races. And the slow pace there, bunch margins, you might get a bit of value about them next up because people might put a line through the race, but I think there was plenty of merit in the winner. Dubai and Style, probably that was his go, but he's going well enough to win a race. Classic Uniform maybe up in trip. Vanderkamp maybe back in trip a little bit. And Magic has back to her grade. Lanciato is probably with So Willie a little bit harder to place, but can win, and Rosetta's Way back to its grade. Surf and Safari needs a drop in grade for sure, and probably a wet track. 9th Legion, winner of race 7. Again, another soft tempo, and they control it from up front. Really good effort from Better Not Blue late. Smeekish sort of effort from Oxford Poet, who came up really short and blew out to where it was probably deserved to be price-wise. A huge go for Marinostro, which was kind of unexplainable for mine, but didn't have any luck in the run and ran last. So the key to this race was the tactics on 9th Legion, really. I think most people would have thought that Marinostro, Vergara were the two going to be two closest in the run, which ended up posting Marinostro early. That basically won 9th Legion the race. Better Not Blue ends up peeling around Marinostro, and that's probably, he's had his chance in the run. Pace was against him, and he's probably gone to the worst part of the track here. And 9th Legion seemed to be in the sweet spot. Better Not Blue just finds a way to not win races, unfortunately. Does not win out of turn. Wouldn't it be nice to run really well? Vergara came again late, which probably said that the pace was a little bit slow for her. A little bit of a warning sign for the whole race that Merv 8's creeping up the fence after getting beaten at Coffs Harbour or Port Macquarie the other day, but she has looked up to this sort of grade in the past, so maybe she's just needed that run the other day. I don't think the form looks excitingly strong out of this, just some honest horses that have raced well, so probably Vergara's have been a little bit unlucky. Pace affected. Better Not Blue ran well, but that's his pattern. Wouldn't it be nice to run well? Mavate's run well. Pretty soft effort from Oxford Poet, but did look a little bit tested on class. And just a good ride on the winner. Can't knock it. It's done the work and run well. So bunched. Bit of a nothing race for mine. Fillies and mares here. Over the 1200, Pioneering wins it again, another slow pace. Thud and Pioneering are the two that fight it out, and obviously Thud is a bit unlucky in the straight, as we'll see. Butterboom controls the tempo again here. A little bit surprised to see it in front. Flamboyant Lass happy to sit outside it, and Bonatate no point pressing on with these two not going to give it up. So it's raced wide without cover. Awasita outside third, Pioneering bolting in behind, and with the softish tempo it was no real point going back further than that. But we'll have a look at the runs of Winetail and Mandalong Kiss, who is not a noted back marker in a second. Good ride for Minas here to get it out and clear going. Thud's in behind, travelling strong. I'd be a little bit careful at just stopping it. That I think people will overplay again that Thud's been unlucky 2 times in a row, and probably underplay the win of Pioneering. It has had the apprentice take the ride back to 1200, was a big thing, and it really does put the white race away from mine. I know Thud was probably unlucky and probably should have won the race, but there's no way in the world it was going to be dominant over this winner. It sprints quickly there, and maybe underplayed a little, and he's ready to win again over this distance or shorter next time out. I didn't mind the run of Mandalong Kiss wide out. Not a bad little horse that probably needs it a little bit easier than this, and you know there's a few little changes that would be good to see with this horse, but it has got a race in it. No luck, Magic of Dreams, but he's not racing at its best. The rest are all honest sort of efforts in behind. Flamboyant Lass is really struggling to find the line. Bonate had no luck, 3 wide, no cover, and runs quite well in here, even though they didn't go too hard, so it's just a run. But the first 2 are definitely going extra well in Pioneering and Thud. Pioneering just needed to drop back to this grade and to this distance, more importantly, to be effective, and has run well. Last race, and on paper I was keen to have a look at Thurston, Gamblers Blues, Embley and Consign go around. They all had sort of factors for and against here, and didn't think there were too many horses that looked like they were going too far out of this, so they were the most promising for mine. Consign's probably the one that had no luck. The others were a little bit disappointing. Embley was a bit stiff also. A little bit of a surprise here that they decided to come out a bit quicker than actually do run along here. It didn't look like there was much pace on paper, and Veet Lonnie kicking up changed the sort of makeup of the race. Thurston lobs into a perfect position, as does Wine and Dine. Consign, if we just go back, drops back to the tail and comes off the fence, no problem with that early in the race. Was always going to need a bit of luck. So we'll see here the winner in behind. Thurston looks to be bolting, comes to the outside, Embley inside it. Consign back in the blinkers is probably the most and clearly unlucky runner in the race. Embley also gets held up, but at a vital stage, and Obsidian runs on quite well again from back in the field. The first two place getters, Final Decision and Wine and Dine, cut through the middle and basically unimpeded. We'll see Final Decision has a little bit of a bump here with Consign, who's held up terribly and squeezed out at a pretty vital stage, goes back for an inside run and struggles to get through that gap as well. Really strong weight and through the line. Tough to be held up like that, especially when coming back in distance. It's just tough to be balked and lose your momentum and come back under them. So Obsidian's probably a little bit pace assisted, but he's coming along well. It's a tough race to pull too much out of. Thurston was the disappointing one for mine. Not sure what to make of him. I'm sure they'll put him back up in distance and he'll probably run well knowing Waller, so be a little bit wary, and I wouldn't pen him for this run much as I would like to. Really not a lot between the rest. Gamblers Blues is really limited and one-dimensional. Once he didn't get that soft lead, he was in a lot of trouble. When Wine and Dine's winning, welter races, the last race of the Saturday. It's not a good sign for the rest of them for mine. Final Decision also not been in great form, and runs well. Avanako had its chance. Could sign the one that I'm not wanting to bag with a senior rider on next time, and probably I would only like to see it back out to a mile even. Maybe on a bigger track, I think he can be effective. And Obsidian, despite being pace assisted there, does look like it has a win in it. Amberley also is not one I want to be too harsh on coming out of this race though. Horses here going well enough to win similar sort of races, but these are sort of take-turn events where it's sort of the best run wins, which is what you saw here. With Wine and Dine just had the right run behind on the fence and getting the splits through the middle, which is usually the best way to win at Rosehill. So another winter day with not much between a lot of horses, a lot of short margin races. A Wokes race, the first, is probably the race of the day to follow, with quite a few horses that can come out of that race and win. There are quite a few horses going well enough to win, but it's as it is this time of year, it's just about placing them correctly and a bit of luck, really. It's not easy, and we'll just keep battling away. Probably, and Saboric was another good win on a day where that race will probably be underplayed from a class-wise. So it's an obvious horse, but a horse that does look on the up and capable of continuing to improve. So, thanks guys.